Hello and welcome to Confidently Wrong, a show by regular dudes talking with confidence about content we have no right to speak about with any kind of authority, but do it anyway. I'm Wesley Nakamura, and as always, I'm joined by award-winning director Brian Redondo and Savon Jones, aka Captain Bonnie. This is episode 192, and we fly faster than a speeding bullet to review the Superman movie. I'm confident that it's going to be the best show you've ever listened to, and well, hey, if it's not, you can always ask us for a refund.
Incredible!
Hello, gentlemen! Welcome back. It's Confidently Wrong.
Welcome
Guys,
back to you, Wesley.
Ooh, I'm back
Where
from
you
my
been?
European
Welcome back to the
vacation.
US.
Is that National Lampoon? European Vacation?
I've never
Classic
seen.
movie. 5 out
think
of 5.
I
Go
don't think I
see
ever
it.
saw it.
What?
All right. I know. I don't think I saw any.
I
of them.
learned everything I needed to know about Europe from that movie.
Yeah, me and Jen and the girls did a trip to Scandinavia, Sweden, Denmark, Norway.
Scandalous.
Yeah, Denmark. I was telling the guys Denmark or Copenhagen at least 5 out of 5, 5 stars. No notes. Sweden probably 4 stars, or at least Stockholm. We only stayed in the big cities because of the girls, and then Oslo 2 out of 5. 2 out of 5.
Ooh,
Thumbs down.
Brutal.
damn.
The best thing about
Oslo.
Copenhagen is you can get around in Copenhagen by bike all the time. Like I'm just seeing bikes going shoo, 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 all over the place, and I was really excited about that.
Zoom, zoom,
What are
zoom,
you, a
regular-
dog?
zoom, zoom, zoom.
regular people.
What's going on?
That's how it was.
Is
They're
that
like,
how
shoo,
we are
shoo,
rating
shoo, shoo.
cities?
And then they were around and around. Jen at some point was like, if there were this many bikes in America, we'd be like, is there a race happening right now? Like, how are all these bikes happening? I mean, like packs of like 15 people who don't know each other just traveling down the road, going to their work or going to the store, wherever they're going. Fantastic infrastructure. Loved it. You could get around by.
So did
could
you
get
put your
around
kids on
by
bikes?
public transpo. No, I would have loved to, but we didn't do it. We just walked because we like everything was like pretty close by. Everything's like kind of condensed.
Sounds
so that was
nice.
cool. Yeah, Sweden was cool too, kind of similar vibe. But the weather was a little bit worse. It was more rainy and cold there. Not cold. It was just more rainy there. So that kind of impacted things. So that's why they get a minus star because of the rain.
Because of
and-
the weather?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
Oslo,
I guess that is integral to a
an experience.
geographic location.
Yeah, and then Oslo was 2 out of 5. Only because everything there was like 3 times as expensive as everywhere else, and not
Because they're
every.
trying for you like not to be there. They don't want you to go there. If it's
I
3
think they
times
don't
as
want anybody
expensive.
to be there.
Yeah.
The taxi driver that we had coming from the airport to the city, he was like, everything here is just really expensive. We get paid well, but everything is just super pricey. They feel the inflation just like the rest of us. But it was good times. I was telling these guys, I tried whale for the first time ever. It was kind of like beef, which like was
You
unexpected.
awful human being. How
It
could you
was-
eat whale?
I don't know. I'm
you're
hoping
smart,
it was
bro.
sustainably, farmed or whatever.
Whales take
It's a
forever to
minke-
grow.
a
There's no
minke whale. It wasn't
sustainable.
it wasn't a blue
Farm?
whale
I don't think people are farming whales.
or like caught, maybe caught, but it was a minke whale, which like I've never even heard of.
They're
so
smart.
It's not one of the
minke
cute
whale.
whales.
Yeah, I know about mink
that
whales.
you-
Yeah, they're cool.
that you want to protect.
Do you hear this right now?
Like humpback whales. Those are you don't want to hunt a humpback whale. do you?
Only the name brand ones.
Exactly, right?
Yeah,
we
yeah.
we
If
got the
they're not
off-brand
as
whale.
cute, you can eat them, I guess.
This is always true for all of life, guys. Why do you think we don't eat puppies?
Speak
Well,
for
some
yourself.
of us
I'll say,
do.
speak for yourself. For me, you know what I'm saying? Game is game.
Oh
But
my
yeah,
goodness.
people don't like eating dolphins. They don't like eating dogs.
Yeah, deer
It's
even,
it's
like-
purely a cuteness thing, right?
Absolutely.
Horse. People were horrified when like horse meat made it into
Right.
hamburger meat at some
Yeah,
point.
absolutely.
Right, like
Game
I
is
don't know,
game,
15 years
baby,
ago.
Horses are beautiful. Okay,
and delicious.
so let's get into it. Our episode today.
Human, anybody?
Ew.
Maybe once
Okay.
the apocalypse
Okay, that's
happened,
the line.
once the
That's the line.
No, the line is way before that. The line is way
Well-
before that.
like if we all in a plane crash out in the mountains like that soccer team, it's like, hey man, you got to get it how you live.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do it.
You got to get it how you live.
That diabetic over there with the weight problems, looking a little
I'm
tasty.
just like, hey man, you got to get it. Game is game.
Would you cook it first, or are you just eating that raw?
You got to get it how you live. I don't know if we trapped on the mountains. You got to get it how you live, baby.
All right.
I would have thought that Savon is just like, I'd rather die. I'm just that's my time, and I'm bowing out.
Depends on what's slated to come out in the next year. You know, if I got some shit that I'm hyped up for, I'm like, hey man,
Grand Theft Auto still hasn't dropped,
GTA
so
6
I
ain't
gotta
out.
carry on. Yeah.
You know, maybe the Pelicans have a promising off season. I'm like, all right, I gotta at least live this. Like for that, like, oh, okay,
You're gonna wait for a while, my friend.
exactly. Like, you know, GTA 6 coming out. Hey, I gotta hold on for dear life. Oh, GTA 6 is out and it's just the Pelicans off season. I had a decent run.
Prayers up for Derek Queen. Get better. 12 weeks of recovery.
Prayers up for
Jesus.
just the entire Pelicans organization and the
All of
surrounding metro area.
Joe Dumars, lay off the drugs.
Maybe they need to fucking go on a vision quest and do drugs. Maybe they need to go do some peyote
Yeah,
and
get on the drugs.
they'll come out with some clarity of, we need defenders. Or, you know, decent players. Whatever. Let's talk about Superman, West, if I get mad.
Let's do it. So
Cue the
we've got-
music.
we kicking off. Cue music. Dun, 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 dun. So we are kicking off, blowing open, diving into the first real entry into the, what are they calling this? The DC universe?
I think
maybe?
Gods and Monsters, I believe.
That's like the era, but I think, well, whatever. The James Gunn DC universe, right? We're breaking away from
JGDCU.
the Zack Snyder influence universe, the Aquaman universe, all that. Even Blue Beetle, right? All that stuff that happened in the past 10 or 15 years. Wonder Woman, all of that is now in a separate universe. The Batman movies from what's his name? Matt Reeves. Is that his name?
Correct.
His is in his own pocket, different universe. But this is the James.
He's not in the pocket universe.
No,
but it is
that's
a
different. That comes
pocket
up in this
of the
movie.
universe.
And this right here is kind of where we're officially, DC and Warner Brothers are officially kicking off the James Gunn version of DC Comics and movies and things like that. So pretty cool. I think that's what I was most hyped for, just to see like what is the biggest stake in the ground here. What are we establishing? How's it going to be different than Zack Snyder's vision for what all these superheroes could be and how their interactions and their adventures. And we're familiar with James Gunn's work from the past, Guardians of the Galaxy, volume 1, 2, and 3. And just like for the most part, we really enjoyed those movies. I think Savon maybe a lot less so for Guardians 1, but
thank you for the representation. It's a good trilogy.
Yeah.
No, it's a legitimately.
But Guardians 3 is
What's
really
your
good.
favorite Guardians, Savon?
2.
2? What?
I really enjoyed
No.
2.
It's like the least memorable one.
I like
2
2.
is the one I don't like the most.
I do not like
the interaction
1.
with Ego. So.
I will.
Where his dad is revealed to be a planet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like 2 and 3.
It's fair.
3
It's
has some
fair.
moments where I'm
I did
like,
love 2.
3 had moments where I'm like, it feels like they're kind of making it up as they go a little bit, but 1 I don't like. But I will say, Guardians is probably right next to Captain America for best Marvel trilogy. Like, Guardians is definitely like their A tier of best trilogies, even though the competition's kind of weak. But like, James Gunn knows how to put together good movies and make a good trilogy and all of that. Man knows how to make good movies.
Yeah, I agree, and I think he clearly has like a good sense of like, this is going to play well on screen. This is the tone I want it to have, and carrying that through the entire project, whether it's Peacemaker or the Suicide Squad. And I think what really impressed me is, in general, we'll get into this a little bit more, is like Superman did not have the same tone as any of those other movies we've just talked about, right? Which were like way more irreverent, way more like tongue in cheek, silly goofball.
And even
stuff
those
like that.
Superman movie or the previous Superman movies?
The Gunn
What do you
movies,
say?
just Gunn movies he's done
I'm
in general,
saying-
right? Gun projects,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Sorry, I'm saying like Guardians and Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad. Those all had a bit of absurdity in it that were just baked into it, and it was consistent through the whole movie or the whole series, and it worked for it. And he was very clear on that. And I was wondering, like, is this movie gonna be similar? Right? Is it gonna have that same irreverent tone through the thing and be a little bit slapstick? And he very much pivoted. I think in general, you guys probably would agree, is this movie was not that. It wasn't just kind of a goofball movie that was meant to more appeal to kind of just the silly side of things. There was a lot less of the camp to it, I think, than previous movies that James Gunn has done.
There's a hard disagree over there on the screen.
I am hard
There is.
disagreeing.
We'll talk about it, but I think this one was, I don't know if earnest is the right word, but there just seemed to be like a little bit more of it trying to be a little bit serious in terms of like plot and character interactions and things like that. I mean, it was still humorous. I'm not saying it wasn't humorous, but all right, we'll get into it. So Superman.
Isn't it great when Wes always gets the first word?
Yeah, and I'm just like, hey, don't speak for us. Like, hold on.
I'm not okay. Well, you.
No, I just wanted to clarify.
I'm
I'm not saying you can't say that, but like, just make sure that's a Wes opinion. I'm like, hold on, y'all.
Okay.
Make sure, because I do not agree.
That's how I felt coming through this movie. It felt much more central.
Yeah, use them.
It wasn't kind of on the extremes of movie making that we've seen from him before.
Yeah, your pronouns should just be I, not we.
Okay. All right. So, do you want to talk about your feelings on Superman? I feel like when we did our retrospective look at Superman, we did talk a little bit about it, but we can remind the people. Sav, what is your relationship with the Superman character?
Yeah, I've never been a fan of Superman. Just growing up, I thought he was just a boring hero. His powers had never particularly interested me. He was always kind of the default superhero, right? Like when you ask anybody on Earth, hey, when you think superhero, who comes up? You probably think, superhero, Superman. Like, he is the superhero.
It's in the name.
He is the superhero. But frankly, I think just the whole country, farm boy, all-American white guy thing just never was appealing to me. And as a kid, that never gave me any reason to want to watch Superman stuff. Now, I watched some shows with him and I enjoy. I've always talked about my fandom of the Justice League animated series, and that's my favorite portrayal of Superman. But the characters never interested me. When they started to do a lot of what if Superman was evil type stuff, it was cool, but that didn't really get me super interested in the character. I will say.
But you've maintained that that's the best version of Superman is.
I don't necessarily.
Or most interesting version of Superman is when he's kind of evil. Or
I've kind of flipped on that. I think the most interesting version of Superman is actually when he's like. I think the most interesting version of Superman is the version that kind of we see in this movie, kind of what we see in some of the animated stuff where he can't punch a problem. Like, I think those are the best versions of Superman. And evil Superman kind of is literally what if he decides to just punch his problems, So, which I'll talk about more about my enjoyment of this portrayal. But I've never been a big fan. Kind of found him not super interesting. That's changed over the last couple of years. I've been consuming more Superman media. I've read a few comics that are getting me understand why people like him. That being said, this Superman movie is the most excited I've been for a Superman anything in my life by far. Never did I.
What do you think built into that?
This is going to be me praising James Gunn a little bit. James Gunn is great at making his tone different for different audiences, which is why you can get things like Suicide Squad and Guardians that have that James Gunn stamp, but still one is like unashamedly rated R with guts and gore and violence, and the other is just slapstick silly with animals. But even though he's good at shifting tone accordingly, he is great at making comic book media feel like a comic book in a not ashamed way. We talk all the time about how Zack Snyder was almost ashamed of the characters to be superheroes on screen in terms of their design and how they acted and behaved. And it's like, oh, how do I make this look realistic? And Gunn is just like, man, these people wear tights and fly around in colorful shit, and we're not going to lean away from that. We're going to lean into it. That alone made even the screenshots and trailers say, oh, this movie looks fun. I talk all the time. When I see a movie, I want to have fun. The first trailer I saw, I said, yo, this shit looks fun. And I was on board. And then once I saw how big the supporting cast was, I was like, oh, this is a comic book movie. And I was instantly sold. The moment I knew like we were getting like Mr. Terrific and Metamorpho, I said, cool, I'm going to go pay to see this movie.
Did they call him like Mr. Elemental or something like that in the movie? Or was it Metamorpho?
The character's Metamorpho.
They call him Metamorpho. Okay.
That's his comic name. I don't think they officially give him that, but I'm going to just refer to him as Metamorpho because that's who the character is. But
all right, Brian, what's your thoughts on the Supes?
Pretty similar to Savon. Like, he is just the most milquetoast character in all of superhero dumb. And like why? Anybody who's like, oh, my favorite superhero is Superman, like, do you have any taste? Like, vanilla's your favorite flavor, and like all your walls in your home are painted white. And
live, love, laugh.
yeah. Like not even. They're just like they just like sit for fun and like watch the paint dry. Like who are you?
You watch PBS Superman on your Saturdays.
Yeah, seriously. So yeah, he's never been for me, and I've always I always hate like the the Boy Scout type characters. I've also never really been a big fan of Captain America either. But Superman is even worse because there's less to work with.
Cap
right?
kills
right?
niggas.
Like at least Cap is vulnerable, right? Like Superman is just this omnipotent being you can't relate to, has nothing interesting to say, and looks goofy. Like he just doesn't look cool at all. And I think that's a big knock on him. And he represents the DC universe, which for me has never been as interesting as Marvel. Right? I've never been a big fan of DC, save for the few Batman things that come out. All of that to say, though, I have watched Superman content over the years, and even Zack Snyder's Superman, the first Superman movie, I was
Man of
kind of
Steel?
into it. Yeah, I was kind of into Man of
I
Steel.
like Man of Steel.
And then there was that one before it that people also forget about that had like Kevin Spacey in it. Even that one, I was kind of into that.
That was like the
So-
2005 one. Yeah, Superman. Yeah.
Yeah, so like as much as I have never held a torch for the character, I'm still like eating the feed on this guy. But nothing that I'm getting super amped for. So that is all to say, pleasantly surprised that James Gunn did a James Gunn version of Superman, which I think made this one really interesting and fun to watch.
All right, so we're gonna jump fast forward. You're walking out of the theater. It's bright outside or dark outside, whatever time you saw it. What was the feelings in your heart? How did you feel coming out of this movie? Were you glad, excited? Were you hyped? Were you disappointed? Where did your feelings come around at the very end? You're walking out with your buddy or by yourself or whatever, popcorn in hand. Brian.
Fortunately, I had a buddy. I don't single rider movies anymore. I don't want to be.
Well, you don't just go raw dog, Lilo and Stitch live action by yourself, even though you got a wife and kids.
In the middle of the afternoon. Anyway, I was all smiles on this one.
I'm crying inside.
I was like, wow, that was a fun ride. I was just entertained the entire time, just entertained.
Love it.
And still and surprised, right? Like even though the trailers indicated like this is going to be a fun movie, this was like way more out there than I could have imagined. And it was just enjoyable. It was entertaining throughout.
So recommend. It sounds like overall you're recommending. So if people haven't seen it yet, you're like, stop the podcast, go see it.
I don't know that I'd say stop the podcast.
Okay.
Our podcast is not bad. It's not bad.
Watch the show. Listen to the show.
But it is entertaining. Like
Brian
it
just
felt
negged
like
our
a
own
good
podcast.
summer
He's
movie.
like, you're a 5 out of 10. Yeah.
No, that's
You don't want to say stop the pod.
Yeah, I'm not saying stop the pod. I'm like,
Finish listening, then go to see Superman.
You could listen to me some more.
All right, Sav, what was your kind of initial reaction, just feelings wise?
Fun. It was.
How are the vibes?
Again, so I've said before on this pod how I try to avoid trailers and stuff because I want to not have things spoiled, and part of it is because I'm chasing the dragon of just feeling the joy and the light that I had as a kid. I want to experience something and feel that inner light really light up and not have it be spoiled by.
It's an expectations game, man. The lower your expectations, the easier it is to enjoy.
No, it's not. No, not that. That's no. But what I am saying is, I went in looking for fun. I knew this movie had fun potential, so I said, let's go in blind and experience it for what it is. And I'm glad I did it. I had a blast, similar to Brian. I walked out like, man, that shit was fun. Like, in the theater, multiple moments, I'm laughing, I'm gasping. I look at the tone like, oh shit, man, what's going on? We watching scenes like, yo, that was sick. It gave me the full emotional spectrum in a good way. And I walked out saying, yo, man, I spent however much money on, these tickets. I paid, sat for 2 hours. That was a good use of my time and money. Like, I paid for a movie. I saw it. I walked out. I was entertained. I got what I wanted. It's a movie I'd see again. And I had a pleasant Friday night experience. And that's what the movies is all about, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Some movies. Not Conclave. All right.
Conclave was amazing. I love Conclave. When are we doing that pod?
I watched it on the plane
My next
coming back from
vacation.
Europe. And I was like, I was engrossed in it, but I was also like, this is not.
This is not entertaining.
No, slow, so slow.
It was so good.
It's not like what was that movie a bunch of years ago where it was like the reporters that were investigating the
Spotlight.
Spotlight. Like that was also a movie that was like, this should be really boring. They're like investigating. It's just them literally.
Conclave.
Like,
Is that about the Pope?
walking
That's the Pope
places.
movie?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
where
Pope
they
movie.
Oh,
choose the
absolutely
next
not.
Pope. So good. You should watch it. You'd love it.
You would hate it. All right. Yeah.
Definitely
Anyways,
a Savon
The
movie.
inner
Spotlight.
Catholic schoolboy in me is just seething.
well, I just wanted to say Spotlight was amazing. I love that movie, and this tried to do something similar, but I feel like didn't quite pull it off.
But what? How'd you feel walking out of Superman?
I felt really good. I kind of felt the same way. I was like, man, that was awesome. On this one, I did go with the buddy. He thought it was really cool.
I'm glad you found a buddy.
I did find a buddy. I don't think he loved it. I think he just thought it was enjoyable. You know, a little tepid, goodness. That was
Were
how he felt.
you also tepid?
No, I really enjoyed it.
If someone calls some
I
shit
there were-
tepid, that is like an insult as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
Oh no, it wasn't that.
It's
I
like
just
calling
felt
your date nice.
Yeah, so how you
She's
look?
nice.
Oh, you look cool. Oh, you look.
That's kind of how I felt like his reaction was afterwards. I was like, "What'd you think?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's pretty good. I enjoyed it."
That's what people say. That's
how
what people say when they want to like say, "I don't have anything amazing to say, but I don't want shit on it." That's a very
Yeah.
polite. Oh yeah, that's cool. You take a
Maybe
bite.
that's kind of how he felt about
You
it.
took a bite. Oh, that's good. You take a second courtesy bite, and then you don't take any more bites.
All right. Unclear to me how he really felt about it. If that was an accurate representation.
Gotta interrogate him.
I definitely felt more about it. I was like, I loved that like the music callbacks were happening to like the old John Williams score. I loved that like visually some of the things were happening. Tonally, some of that stuff was a callback to Christopher Reeves. Just like a ton of fun. The way that a lot of the action happened felt fast and powerful and speed, and you just kind of felt like you were like zipping along with Superman. So all of that kind of stuff was cool. Superman, the character, like the actor and the character, I thought did a great job. I was totally on board with like, yeah, that's Superman right there. I see him. So I think just enjoyable. I would see the movie again. I would see the sequel again. For the most part, I am, I guess I could give it away.
The sequel again? You saw it? Is
No,
it
I would
good?
see the sequel. I was thinking like, in my head, I was like, it's kind of like a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. So
Wow.
I felt
okay.
good. I felt
okay.
very satisfied with it. I saw it in IMAX, which I felt like an old person. The IMAX, the seats were maybe a little bit closer than I thought they were going to be. So the screen was like a little bit big, and I was like, oh, am I going to get car sick? Which like an old person thought. And then also the music was the soundtrack was really loud.
Could you turn it down?
Yeah, I was like,
yo,
turn down the
I was like,
movie.
this is such an old person complaint to be like, yeah, it's a little
Wes
loud.
is going to superhero movies with earplugs.
Yo, Brian, I was roasting him in the PlayStation chat. 'Cause I was like, so Wes, you went to the IMAX big screen surround sound experience and was mad about your big screen surround sound experience because it was too much.
It was quite voluminous, that volume. I was like, this is causing hearing damage for sure. But love the deep bass that you could feel.
This is peak. Wes, you are peaking right. You are peaking right now. Never change.
At least I was aware in the theater. I was like, I asked for this, so suck it up and just enjoy it.
This is why I love you, Wes.
All right, let's get it. All right, spoilers coming now.
Money
At this
well
point.
spent.
We've been spoiler free up to now, but we need to get into the spoilers. I guess I already shared my thoughts on David Corn Sweat, who's the new Superman. I thought he was great for the role. I thought his like the way his mannerisms were, his body, just the way that he like acted in scenes. And I don't know, I'm not familiar with anything he's done before, and it's hard to sometimes be like the central figure and command the screen and really be the center of attention and carry a film. And for someone that I've never heard of, he did that phenomenally. I never once thought like he's not like charismatic enough or central enough, or he's like just kind of like weak in his performance. Everything he did I thought was like kind of a slam dunk for Superman. So I am 100% on board. I love the Henry Cavill, great Superman also, or really enjoyable Superman. And this is obviously a very different take on it from both David's perspective, Corn Sweat's perspective, and from James Gunn's influence and things like that. But I don't mind that, and I don't know, I think it worked. Brian, were you Were you believing David Cornsweet as Clark Kent and Superman?
He is Kal-El, this guy.
I
Well,
was
pitch perfect, really. And I think a big part of it was that it made me realize how underserved other Supermans were. Like even though Christopher Reeve, like in my mind, has always been sort of like the ultimate version of Superman.
He was good.
It made me realize, this movie made me realize how much more flat those other depictions of Superman and Clark Kent are, right? Like what made Cornsweet's performance and James Gunn's writing this type of character was that I think it was the first time I really felt Superman as a person in a way, right? Like he was somebody who had emotional vulnerability that I don't think any of those other versions of Superman ever had. They're usually just stoic Jesus-like figures, right? And they're playing their Clark Kent thing kind of for laughs or whatever, at least in Christopher Reeve's version, and then they become this, omnipotent kind of powerful presence.
Yeah,
which,
they really juxtapose that like clumsy clown like
yes,
klutz versus
they're just trying to do this contrast thing.
Yeah, as like I'm altogether self-assured.
Yeah,
I actually
I'm a
am,
god.
Space Jesus. Yeah, like I said.
It's kind of a good contrast of how they tend to do Batman, right? Where in Batman they tend to lean into the Batman, and then his secret identity is supposed to be Bruce Wayne. In this movie, it felt like the opposite, where it didn't feel like, oh, he is his true self when he is Superman. He felt like he was his truest self when he was Clark, and even in his moments interacting with other characters as Superman, I felt like you feel the Clark presence and energy and vibe more than anything.
Exactly.
But it's in a good way, because it feels like he's this goofball. It feels like at his core, he's the goofball, country, naive guy, Clark Kent. And he has to be Superman for work, basically. But
it doesn't stop him from still being Clark.
Ultimately, that is not himself. And even when he's Superman, he's still, the Clark Kent still shows out, and that he's a very just unserious goofball. Even when they're fighting the kaiju, right? He's like, hey, watch out, guys. Like, but he's serious. Like, hey, yo, watch out for the effing collateral damage. But like, it's a very good blend of serious, but also Clark Kent's just ultimately a softy goofball at heart. And I felt like that was consistent throughout the film in a way that other versions of Superman, especially Henry Cavill, not his fault, that's the direction's fault in the script, but like, he felt like a very vulnerable goofball despite being the most powerful character in the movie.
And I would say, like, it's even beyond the goofball nature of this like naive kid from Kansas. It was also his innocent naivete about being a do-gooder, right? Like, he's this kid, and you could see him, right? Like, he's this kid who really believes he's here to do good and care for other living beings all over the planet,
including squirrels.
And taking that to an extreme, almost to a fault, right? Like, he is stopping, or in the middle of his fight, he is protecting a squirrel from getting destroyed.
The dog,
right? Like,
the kid.
He cares about the animals. He cares about children. And
he even cared about the kaiju.
Yeah,
he cared about the kaiju. Felt like it should go to a zoo or something,
or at least
where it could just live out its life, or properly euthanized, right? And like, none of that struck me as false coming from the character. It just made me think like, wow, this guy is like a real sweetheart. Like, he is really sweet. He's really endearing. And the fact that he's doing it almost to a fault, and that nature of his is being tested by real world problems, made him have so much more depth, right? And made him more sympathetic in that way. Like, I could embrace him as a character because he's so good natured and full hearted in what he's trying to do, that I am rooting for him finally, right? I'm not rooting for him just because he's the protagonist and
you actually care. You care about Clark.
I care for him because I'm like, oh, buddy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about the puppy, but buddy, it's gonna be okay, buddy. Like, that's how I felt about him, which is a real testament to both James Gunn and David Cornsweet. How do you say his name?
Yep.
corn sweats.
Apparently
I
he's
hate
a
when
big
I get the
Star
corn
Wars-
sweats.
Apparently, he's a big Star Wars fan too.
I want to.
He's talked in press about wanting to like be a Jedi.
I believe that. Me too. We don't we all? But I want to co-sign that. Like Brian, I couldn't agree more with everything you said about this version of Superman. I think that's what's made me like the movie is that I can connect to the character. Normally, I'm connecting to other things around the story, like just thinking about the juxtaposition between this and Man of Steel. Man of Steel, when he's fighting Zod, they're letting the city be their destruction playground. And in the kaiju fight, he is going out of his way to make sure there's no extra collateral damage, property destruction throughout the movie, right? To the point where the best version of Superman, in my opinion, is the version that has legitimate constraints on himself. It's not about him being the strongest. It's about, what are the non-superhero constraints that make your job hard? Shout out to this movie for... And I say shout out to James Gunn for not pulling any punches, and they straight up gave us an Israel-Palestine stand-in conflict, and they didn't really mince. I don't think they really I don't think they really pulled any punches on it. They were pretty straightforward of like, hey, yo, man, the U.S. has shitty allies that do shitty things, and the scene with Superman getting interviewed by Clark as Superman getting interviewed by Lois might have been one of the best. Might have been one of the best Superman moments ever. Or really, no, it's not a Superman moment. It's one of the best Clark Kent moments ever, because that was when I truly was won over to his character of like, okay, cool, I'm rooting for you, because he's saying a bunch of dumb shit that I'm like, no, hey, no, but he's answering like a human being. He's answering like, if you had the power to go to Israel or wherever right now and stop people, like he said, people were going to die. If someone said, hey, Brian, you got the power right now to go fly, stop that shit, stop innocent people from dying. Fuck what the government and everybody else got to say, regardless of consequences. Like, that's a real moral.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has the power to do it, though. And that's a real moral. But to your point, the movie did a great job of like the on paper idealism of Superman versus, hey, the real world is really gray. What do you do when your government's the bad guy, but you don't want to speak for them, but you're a citizen and all this complicated stuff? And like, they did a good job of addressing it. Like, even when Luthor and them were complaining about, hey, you can't just be doing this extrajudicial nonsense, even Lois agreed. I was like, yo, these are very good points. But it gave us a very good conflict for Superman that was bigger than just, oh, who's stronger than me? Because that's never what the movie was about. It was always I have this power. What's me being good with it? What's the ramifications of it? How do I balance the responsibility of it? And then, of course, separate from that, his actual just existential crisis breakdown that I was like, oh, shit. Like, with the parents' message, like, I've never seen a movie give Superman this much conflict that I actually... Well, not Superman, sorry. Giving Clark Kent this much conflict that actually was like, oh, shit. Like, there's no easy way out of this. There's no clean answer. Like, yo, B, your parents sent you to take over the planet. And, like, there's no beating around. Even though the hero's like, yo, man, like, this is real. And
so how are we feeling about that?
Loved it.
That critical origin switch for Superman.
It's what we needed. It's what we needed to make him interesting, right? The whole my parents sent me here to be good thing is boring. We talk about how the whole Boy Scout shit is boring, but now knowing he was meant to be a villain from the bounce, and it's only because of his upbringing and childhood that is like that, I think that makes for a inherently more interesting character. And then having that be something the world has to reconcile and figure out is a perfect, like, that's a great way to set up Superman as, okay, we see the good he does, but there will always be skeptics for good reason. Like, even if we know Superman is good, that message, even if you love Superman, it should still be enough to say, hey, what?
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was great. It gave him something.
I think the outside world's view of that was really important. Like, they immediately were like, oh, this could go really badly really quickly if this is how Superman's going to act. But what I didn't buy was like, why did he have such a crisis of confidence? He's been doing this particular role for what he said, like 3 years or something like that in the opening crawl. And like, he seemed like he kind of knew who he was. He knew he was trying to do good things. So like, what I sort of didn't buy was like, how could you just completely have your worldview shaken to the point where you're like, I don't even know if I should do the superhero thing anymore. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know who I am. And I was like, that's a bit extreme, given that like the parents on the recording, right? What are their names? Jor-El and I don't remember the mom's name.
And Jarella. I don't know her name. Shout out to Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. I was like, is that Bradley Cooper?
But they didn't
For a second,
raise
I
him.
thought the wife was Lady Gaga. but it's not her.
It's just
Which would
it's
be
just
crazy,
a star.
right?
A Star is Born.
Star is Born. Yeah, and they created
They're
a
in this
new
universe
star,
now.
Kal-El.
So this is the sequel to A Star is Born. I
Yes.
guess this is what they came up to be.
So
like,
you weren't convinced by that?
No, I just didn't. I guess I didn't believe that like a Superman character in the way that he had been described so far is like being a guy who was really, really focused on I'm trying to do the best that I can for all of the people and serving humanity. Like if you told me all of a sudden like, hey, actually this recording is kind of a lie and it was something else, I'd be like, okay, but like I still believe in this. I still believe in doing the right thing. I still believe in like
Well, he still did
helping
do that.
people,
Well, he did do that.
and I still have these powers. I'm not necessarily beholden to this vision that like these parents that I actually never met and don't know and didn't raise me have. And it was kind of like, yeah, I could understand him being like disappointed or being upset that like, oh, I thought these people were good people, but I didn't necessarily think that like someone would then be like, who am I? Right? That's like such an existential question that it's like I think he knows
But
who
it's
he
like
is.
his core
Yeah, like-
existential reasoning, right?
Yeah,
like
he's
the,
but it
his whole
wasn't-
rationale.
Yeah, but he's not
That's
doing
for
it
who
just
he is.
because. But he's not doing it just because his parents,
They-
his
he
Krypton parents told him.
he believes it's his destiny, right?
Yeah.
And like we see early on in the movie, like that he watches this whole movie constantly,
'Cause it
right? It's
soothes
the
him.
thing that rejuvenates him, right? And because we see him kind of as a childish character in a way, right?
Yeah,
like
that's his
that
whole.
he's still
scene-
building-
Superman
he's
is
still
a
that
nice
scene with
character.
Lois.
That's the point.
Yeah, Lois, and when Lois is challenging him on all his principles, you can tell that he feels threatened. He's like, how is like, why would you ask any of this, right? Like the way that he responds is very childlike. And so like all of these things of him, using his parents' message to soothe him having this belief that this is what he was destined for, and feeling rattled anytime that those principles come into question, made me convinced that yes, if somebody were to flip that message from his parents on its head, it would shake his core belief about himself, right? It does challenge who he believes he is at the center of his spirit, because that's the founding document for him, right? That's to me, that's like like some priest getting or discovering without any challenges that God doesn't exist, and the priest is like, well, what the hell? I devoted my whole life to this, and like, what? Like, to me, it's something very similar to that, or like, or discovering,
Think about your
some
childhood
dirty secret
heroes
in your family.
Yeah, think about the
and
person
your
you most admire in
skeletons
this
in the
world,
closet,
Wes. Like,
right?
think about who you respect, admire. Think about the person who inspires you, drives you, has the most impact of who you are or whatever. Now, imagine if just everything good you knew about them was just the opposite. They're actually the total opposite, and everything you thought that you held dear from them and it was important is actually completely opposite. Like, if you weren't a godlike figure, you'd have an existential crisis. Like, if a member of my family was suddenly off a mentor or someone I had who inspired me and put me on a life path, because I have people like that. I could think of several people off the top of the head who I'm like, yo, because of things you have done for me and have told me or whatever, that is a key part of how I live my life and why I'm the person I am today.
Yeah.
If you told me, hey, actually, everything about them is false, they actually were awful, and everything they did was actually manipulate and fuck you over, that would absolutely shatter my worldview. Like, that would absolutely be, and it's not like Superman gave up being a hero. He had an existential crisis that he was able to get out of. But also, it's worth noting, it's not like it was just him. It was external. The government, literally, he was an enemy of the state. He was getting called in by the government. He got locked up in a pocket dimension, and the government was cool with it. Like, it's not as simple as, oh, why is he just giving up? It's like, no, he's rattled, and the world around him is all rightfully scared. So, like, I don't think it's as simple as
the world
just
would be scared.
Well, why would?
But I don't.
He's a part of the world, though. He can be. I mean, why is he not allowed to be scared? It's not like he's from. It's not like he says it himself, right? He's from Earth. He's lived there like everybody else, so he has just as much reason to have his worldview screwed up by that. But like, I don't think it's weird that someone who is the last of their race, who knows it, who gets a message that inspires them and learns it's all fake and it's actually the opposite. Like, that is probably the most legitimate existential crisis someone could possibly have. I don't know, Wes. It's wild to me that like this is something that you're struggling to. Can anybody have an existential crisis in your mind? Like if that doesn't give you a breakdown, then what the hell can someone have a breakdown over?
No, because you like in your example, right, I think which is the closest one. If you said, "Hey, I had this mentor, I looked up to this person, Martin Luther King Jr., or I looked up to Malcolm X." Or
if someone told me MLK was a serial killer, that would effing destroy my worldview. What are you talking about?
Why? Wouldn't it just destroy your view of that person? It wouldn't destroy your view of the world. It wouldn't destroy your view of like what's right in the world.
Tell me what can destroy my worldview, Wes?
Well, do you listen to R. Kelly?
I wanna. I'm
still not right from R. Kelly. That shit still fuck me up.
You know how like people like can't listen to R. Kelly anymore? Like take that and magnify it times like 1,000,000, right? I think that's the issue that's.
And I love R. Kelly, and I'm like, I can't play this man shit. Because I'm like, yo, this is just I can't. No, B. No,
it just changes.
Yeah,
their legacy on you. Right.
Same way I can't listen to new Kanye. Like, it's like, oh, sorry, pimp. This is just, you are my favorite, but I cannot co-sign with this. And unfortunately, it's effing with my perception of separating the music from the artist. I'm like, oh, I thought so, but maybe not.
Yeah, but that doesn't. You're making that stand because you're still who you are. Right, you still have your same values, and even if some of those
he's not a 40-year-old like you, Wes. His values aren't already solidified and rigid. This guy is a child. He's a big man child. He's like still figuring out the world, and you know, I think that's just part of it.
And you act like he gave up his values. He just questioned
what's them. More
like, you guys
interesting
keep cutting me off.
here,
Do you guys know what I'm saying though? Like he had parents who actually raised him with some of these values as well, right? Like his Ma and Pa Kent are also figures who show love, who supported him, who protected him and wanted the best for him and support him in all of the all of his hero business, whatever that means, right? He's got that foundational support from people for
and they show that in the
tons
movie.
of years, right?
Yeah,
so
like
Darrell,
Savon said, he still comes around. Like he still saves the day. He still, dons the cape. He's still doing the thing. He gets
like reasonably rattled.
2 days.
He also got locked in prison and poisoned and tortured. Like, are we forgetting that this man?
Okay. Thank you for not letting me finish.
Finish your thing, Wes.
But I just love that Superman thought he was a Krypton. Turns out he's a Viltrumite. and James Gunn actually poked hole in Invincible's story a little bit because Kal-El tells Superman, like, yo, you gotta procreate like crazy. You gotta have harem and start popping out babies. And it made me realize that why wasn't Omni-Man told to do that? Like, why was he just posing and like currying favor with this one human woman? He should have been popping out babies all over the planet.
Because they're supremacists.
Invincible spoilers.
They don't want to dilute their blood.
There's a reason. Spoilers, but you gotta watch more Invincible for that. Spoilers. Okay. Just leave that alone.
I felt like it was because they felt above that. They didn't feel like they were.
It gets above that. Gets answered. Leave it alone.
They're trying to.
All right.
They're trying to spread.
Oh, okay.
Leave it alone.
All right. So James Gunn, obviously we had talked about him having like a pretty distinct style, we felt like, or a voice in his movies. I mean, he's definitely a director who like makes a movie he wants to make. He's not going to like let somebody mess with it to the point where it kind of just becomes this jumbled mess of different tones and different ideas. He's like, no, I'm going to build a movie this way. I know what I want it to look like and sound like and feel like. Did that sort of traditional, I don't know what we call it, like, the track record of James Gunn did it show up in this movie? Like you guys kind of at the opening said you felt like it did. I thought it did, but it also felt a little bit more kind of not vanilla. It felt more mainstream as a movie, as a superhero movie than some of his other films did. But I don't know. Did it show up to you? You were like, oh yeah, this is clearly a James Gunn film, and like I see his fingerprints all over this. Sav, were you feeling that, or did you feel like no, like he just made the best Superman movie and it didn't feel like a James Gunn movie?
I think it was both. I actually think the Superman movie fits well with the James Gunn style because I think when Superman's serious, it's boring, and I think nobody wants to see that shit. I think it balanced out very well. Like I thought this movie, again, more than most, I think any other Superman product ever, I'd argue, embraced the campiness in a way that really made everything pop and click and work. Like for me, this movie felt very vibrant and campy, and that was the element of the James Gunn touch. But I also think that good Superman stories kind of lean into the colorful campy anyway of not taking itself too seriously, just because once you start to take it too seriously, it starts to fall apart and not really work as a story. But I thought it was great. Thought it was colorful. It was fun. It was silly. It was campy. That's the big thing for me, the camp. You know, you got Hawk Girl doing her ridiculous battle cry scream, but they're not trying to take it too seriously, so you can just enjoy it. You have Guy Gardner putting up giant Green Lantern middle fingers. You got Crypto just being a badass dog throughout the whole movie. You know, for me, the camp and silliness and embracement of those moments was a sign of Gunn knowing how to make shit. Like, say what you want about Gunn, that man knows how to make animals on screen work somehow. I don't know what this man did. He took a class, but he makes that shit work with consistency. So I don't know. I think it was Gunn had his fingerprints all over it, but I think much like Guardians of the Galaxy, I think those types of stories are very compatible with his style of movie making.
Brian.
Yeah, is Gunn taking money from PETA? Like, he loves animals.
Boy,
like,
what?
Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Superman now, they're both like really
Save
protect
the animals.
Yeah, don't hurt the animals, not one single bit. So I, even on top of that, I think his fingerprints are all over this movie. Like, this again, like, feels nothing like any other Superman movie or property before it. Like, not even the cartoons, right? This is really, there's like a lot of weird stuff in the Superman movie for sure. And particularly, like, one is the cast of characters around Superman. Like, in the trailer, I assume that they're showing us Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner. I thought they were just going to be like little blip cameos in this movie, right? Especially seeing Nathan Fillion play the Green Lantern. Like, he played a bit part in the last Guardians movie. So I expected these things to be very much of like, cameo here just to, like, tickle your nerd boner. But no, they're huge parts. They're huge parts of this movie, right? They're integral to building this whole DC universe and what was going on with Superman. And then you have like the Justice Gang. You have Lex's girlfriend who's super weird. Jimmy's also kind of weird. The way
campy.
Superman himself is weird. Yeah, it's campy. Like, the way they film Superman in like a really wide angle shot where his like nostril is in your eyeball while he's flying is super weird. Like, it's not like this clean, iconic, heroic look for Superman. It's like, you look kind of ugly in my face. And the fights too mirrored that as well, right? Like the fight against the engineer, and they're in the stadium, also it's super wide shot and just looks
fun.
Looks
camera
and feels
angles
different. You got Metamorpho in there, like the whole Pocket Universe. The fact that the Pocket Universe is in this, I'm like, what the fuck? But like, okay, we're rolling with this. We're going with this. Lois Lane is flying Mr. Terrific's like hover car or hovercraft thing.
He said it's easy to fly and intuitive. Go. And it's like, all right, cool. That's all the explanation. It's like, cool. That's all the explanation we effing need.
She figured it out.
She said,
it's not like the TIE fighter in Andor. Like, this thing is well engineered. So
it's terrific.
It is all over the place, and it makes me really excited. It makes me really excited for James Gunn's version of the DC universe. Like, if the whole universe is gonna be wacky like this, sign me up. Like, I don't even know any of these characters. I'd never heard of Mr. Terrific, right?
Oh,
like,
man.
Like, I don't know Metamorpho. I don't know anything about the DC universe. And I think that's also what made Guardians so special, was because it was so out there, and like, you had no pre-recognition for any of these characters unless you're a hardcore. And I think that allows James Gunn to play with a really big sandbox of just going wild with it, because nobody is clinging onto it and saying like, it has to be this one way. And
same
even
with Suicide Squad.
Superman, right? Yeah, exactly. I think, and this is why he kind of famously didn't want to do Superman at first, right? It took took some time, right? Like Superman's not an anti-hero, and he's so iconic that you can't really touch him. You can't do anything different with him, and yet he has. And part of that is bringing in along all the weird around Superman too. So hopefully, we're gonna get lots of this type of stuff. Supergirl with Crypto,
That was so great.
Yeah, that's gonna be bananas. She's just drunk all the time. So
that was so lit.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what comes next.
Amen.
Yeah, I felt like there was definitely his influence on there, but like I said, I really do think he dialed it back like just enough where it still felt like this is still a Superman movie where, like Superman takes himself seriously.
Yeah,
right.
I agree with you. Like Suicide Squad is not serious,
right? And so the tone of the movie has to be. I think he did a good job of balancing that. Of like, the tone of the movie can't be so far like in the absurdist or like the silly that like you can't take the movie itself seriously or Superman himself seriously, because Superman takes himself seriously and kind of demands that a little bit. And you guys were talking about like some of the like, I don't know if you want to call it campiness, but some of the like more comic booky type of things,
campy.
Like the Shi'ar scream and whatever, and then the middle fingers. I actually didn't love those pieces. Like they were distracting. Like the scream was just like, why is she screaming? What's happening right now? And Hawk Girl, I don't know. I kind of lament like they included Hawk Girl because she's like kind of a cool character in some of the cartoon things I've seen. Didn't play any kind of role here. Wasn't important in any of the scenes. Wasn't needed in any of the fights. Did I guess murder a despot, but that was kind of like all she did. I don't know if they needed to include her. They could have just not had her in the movie and it would have been kind of the same. Mr. Terrific though was cool. That fight scene in the army camp place,
that was
or wherever
the best fight scene.
That was so good.
Gunn needs to stop doing the music fights though. I think that's the one thing that I'm like, hey,
it's like, it's played out a little bit. We've seen that already. Yeah, I could go with that.
We get it. You like 80s rock and famous pop songs and shit. And it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
We don't got to do that
must
for
have
every
a huge
fight scene.
Yeah, he must have a huge Rolodex of songs in his head, because he does pick things with like lyrics that make sense for what they're doing.
He does what I do in video games. Where I'm like, hey man, I get it. I like to do a fight scene and have my favorite song soundtrack playing and shit. I get it. That's just for your Spotify. Like, let's like have a traditional movie score. And then when you watch your director's cut, you can do the cut with Fortune Sun playing over the fight.
Whoever choreographs the fights though does a really good job.
It was great.
I don't know if he uses the same person that he did in Guardians, but all the fights felt cool, new, like not new, but they didn't feel like repeats. I didn't feel like, I'm just watching the same fight that I've seen in 100 different movies.
Yeah, it wasn't wallpaper.
No, not at all.
Like it can be in other movies.
It really demonstrated what these guys do.
Mr. Terrific was just like swagged out during the fight. He'd be like, psh, psh, with his balls. And I'm like, he's just feeling himself right now. He's not even. It's almost like he's like dancing while he's doing it.
Uh-huh.
And I love that they show it from Lois Lane's perspective.
Yeah, just
that was
like
cool,
she's
right?
just like
her head is on a swivel and watching all this
cool
stuff
choice.
happen around.
And then she said we were all thinking at the end, holy shit. I was like, yeah, that was definitely one of those James Gunn said, hey, I want you to feel what she's feeling so that we can all, the audience, Lois, all had the same reaction of like, yo,
damn,
that was
dude.
sick. By the way,
this dude just did that.
By the way, shout out to his actor, Edie Gaethetti. He's very talented. If people who remember, he was Darwin in X-Men First Class, a character who got, I think, arguably the worst comic book death ever. The character who can adapt into anything gets blown up. Y'all remember that from X-Men First Class, that movie?
I don't remember.
It sounds
him
familiar.
That actor was in it who plays Mr. Terrific. His character's power was adaptation. And, and Charles and Magneto were finding mutants in that movie in like the 60s and shit. When Kevin Bacon's character comes and attacks the base, he charges up a bunch of energy and he tells him adapt to this and he kills off Darwin. But people were pissed because, one, Darwin's a dope character. His whole bit is that he can evolve. Why would you kill off the black guy early on? And even the actor was like, yo, this shit's kind of whack. The studio, straight up, the studio promised that...
could you be less of a cliche here, guys?
Especially with a power where it makes less sense. The studio apparently promised him, hey, will your character, Darwin in the comics gets killed, but he adapts, so he finds a way to, bounce back. They made him think that he would be brought back for a later X-Men movie in Apocalypse. It never happened. And so he ended up leaving from the X-Men series with a very bad taste in his mouth of a cool character who got done dirty with a false promise of returning. So I'm really glad that he got to have his not Marvel, but his comic book character redemption. And instead of being one of the lamest character deaths we got, Mr. Terrific is probably the most prominent superpowered character in the movie besides Superman, which I was not ready for. Like, he's not just there. He's a major plot mover, right? He's the one who figures out the entire thing about the pocket dimension, getting in, the dangers of it, warning everybody,
Superman,
getting Lois and the stuff and helping get the stuff out. Like, he's actually a very key cog in just the movement of the movie. But to your point, Brian, and again, I've been a Mr. Terrific fan when I was a kid. I used to watch, Justice League Unlimited. He was always the big technician, smart guy. But shout out to James Gunn. This man is a master of taking lesser known characters and single-handedly upping their status in just like the comic book pantheon. People did not know who the Guardians were. In fact, people thought Guardians was going to flop when that movie first revealed. It was like, yo, what the hell is this? Marvel just making up anything? A talking raccoon, a tree that says I am Groot, Star-Lord. What the hell is this? A green alien woman? Like, what the hell is this shit?
I think you're giving us too much credit. I didn't know who any of those characters were or what any of their powers were.
I know, no, that's what I'm saying. No one knew that. No, I'm saying when the Guardians came out, no one knew or cared who those characters were. But because James Gunn was able to take that blank slate of impressions, slap on our own new fresh impression because they're lesser known, and do his own twist. To your point, Brian, comic fans, frankly, don't like change, and they treat their characters like these idols that can't be adapted or touched. So when you got something fresh, you can do your own take. Like, people don't know, Rocket Raccoon used to have a British Cockney accent historically before the movie, to the point where the movie made him so popular, they just kind of went with the voice he has now. If you watch some older stuff, he's talking like a British dude, like a Cockney accent, Rocket Raccoon. But because Gunn single-handedly elevated the status of these characters, how they are portrayed in every other medium is completely different. And you got to give props for that. Star-Lord was nothing like the version we see now. He used to be a serious, super serious space dude, and now every other version is coded from the Peter Quill, Chris Pratt performance. But Gunn is great at giving us a strong impression on a character who most people don't know. To your point, Brian, most people have never seen Mr. Terrific or Metamorpho. There is a whole generation of black kids who Mr. Terrific is now their new favorite superhero. Because he got a fire fit. Sure. He does cool
He's
shit.
Like my favorite.
He's the smart guy. He got the cool orbs. He has there will be so many kids dressed as Mr. Terrific.
His attitude.
When he mushed the man in the face and said,
damn,
God
Mr.
damn,
Terrific.
Mr. Terrific. I was like,
he really loved his tagline. I'm terrific.
Everybody was having, I felt like everyone was having fun in that movie. Like, Guy Gardner.
Can you explain his jacket to me? Why does it say fair play?
I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm not sure about the fair play, please, frankly. I know him from like more animated stuff, but I haven't read his comics that would explain that. I just know he has
listeners,
the motorcycle jacket.
Someone tell us.
Yeah, someone tell us what fair play means. Like, why does he wear that on his jacket?
Do homework for us.
But yes, but please give me, I'm going to look it up, but yes, please give us, if this, to your point, if this is what we're getting just in a Superman movie with all these fun characters, I am so excited for the James Gunn universe, because there's going to be so many other lesser known joke characters who someone's going to be like, yo, this dude's effing awesome. Like, I don't know, like Peacemaker or Polka Dot Man, right? Like, come on, man. Let this man cook, man.
Oh, Polka Dot Man. Hell yeah.
Come on, man. Shout out to James Gunn. That dude could take, Condiment King or Carpet Man and make him into a gangster and make you be like, yo, that's my favorite character. He should
make the Squirrel Girl movie. Come on.
James Gunn.
He's perfect for
James Gunn used to make a squirrel. Oh, my God. That's right up his alley.
Yo.
Let's put it out there. James Gunn for the Squirrel Girl movie.
Come back, James Gunn. We need you.
Yeah, do one Marvel one-off for us. I think some people have talked a little bit online. There's some discourse around like the movie paralleling a little bit about not exactly, but paralleling a little what's going on with like Israel and Palestine currently, given the juxtaposition of like a bigger nation invading a smaller nation or a smaller country trying to take it over, that kind of thing. James Gunn's been pretty adamant that he wrote the script before any of the more recent conflict kind of popped off. He just wanted it to be more about like he said, a bigger country with military power and support from the US attacking a smaller country. And the fact that like he actually wrote the script before October 7th last year. And so, there wasn't a chance for him to incorporate any of like any exact parallels, but I think people are drawing those parallels anyways. Is it important, or did you kind of enjoy, I don't know if enjoy is the right word, but did you get along with the idea that Superman is having to grapple with these larger geopolitical conflicts that is hard for someone like him to deal with, right? Because he does have to be mindful of like what's quote unquote right, what's morally right, but also, you know, he does cooperate with the U.S. government in some ways. Brian, did you feel like the movie did a good job kind of going into that kind of idea?
I'm glad. So I think it was a useful storytelling device, right? To, you know, bring up the conflict that Superman has to work within. And it just makes it more interesting, right? Like the government is tracking Superman's activity and trying to figure out where they stand on whether or not they should try to contain him, work with him. Is, you know, are these metahumans, actors outside of states, or are they state actors, right? I think all of that is interesting fodder. And also like this bigger idea that Lex Luthor engineered this whole thing so he would have an excuse to kill Superman, which is awesome. That is the most comic book reasoning a supervillain could have. Like, just concoct this whole conspiracy led war as an excuse to off a rival that he just doesn't like.
That's some CIA type stuff, like
that he just feels jealous of, right? And you know, I thought that was a great use of that character. But more going back to your question, I think I appreciate that the movie didn't try to say too much about that conflict, about, you know, these geopolitical things. Like, it's sort of like the dressing, the window dressing of what's going on, but it didn't feel like, to me, James Gunn was trying to say something about it other than like, yeah, you know, Superman, a good person, would try to make sure that there are no casualties, right? Like, he's just flat out anti-war no matter what, basically, right? He's just trying to prevent any bad stuff from happening. Which, yeah, and so like he's not really trying to make any other political stand on this. He's just trying to use it as a means to develop the character and make his conflict more interesting.
Sav, did you feel any type of way or anything to add with that?
No, I more or less agree with that. Like, these movies, and here's the thing, man, movies have always been political, like, right? Like, any movie that has war and conflict is going to have some analogy to some type of conflict happening, right? Like, isn't the whole half of Star Wars, isn't most of the original Star Wars about like Vietnam, you know, and you know, it's an allegory for like the Vietnam
guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, and guerrilla warfare. Like, so the idea that, oh, these movies are, I don't want to act like movies that are about war and conflict, referencing real life war and conflicts, is some kind of new thing. Like, it's not. This has been a thing in every movie that's had a war ever, right? So there's that. But to Brian's point, it used it well. It wasn't trying to make a point. Superman at his core, regardless of whatever your politics are, is that he's a character who values the sanctity of human life, right? Even throughout the movie, he doesn't actually have any confirmed kills. Beast, you know, even when he lasers all those guys in the sky and it's fun, they make a point to show, hey, they're on the ground moving. He hasn't killed anybody. Like, they lean into that.
Even the engineer, I thought he did kill the engineer.
They said nope. They said her heart still.
Oh, she has a heartbeat.
She has a heartbeat.
Why does she have a heartbeat? Her body's changeable, but she shouldn't have a heartbeat. But that's okay.
Oh yeah, I don't super understand like his strategy.
We should just
to
fit
defeat
super
the
into
engineer.
everything.
Yeah, it's unavoidable now. Can you guys explain it to me?
No, I went on the vibes. Albert did not like this either. He was like, what kind of plan was this?
Straight up into orbit, into the last stratosphere of Earth, and then plummeted back down. Why?
I think because he's strong enough to incapacitate him.
But then the nanites would still be in his lungs.
Yeah.
Exactly. The question was like, how did his plan get the and even Lex was like, what's your plan? And all of us are going, what is his plan?
I didn't understand that.
My loose interpretation was, they beating the shit out of me. Right now, if I can't get a window, I will suffocate. If I can do this big old giant body slam, that'll buy me a window to get them off me to try and get myself right. Because before that, they weren't giving him a chance to even get it out of him because they were
Yeah.
glued onto him.
But Albert
They punched him in the nuts and then shot him with a laser beam. He was like, yo, man, I just need some breathing room, all right? I'm not mad at Superman for saying, yo, I just got punched in the nuts and they're trying to choke me. Let me just get some space.
Yeah.
And
I give a shout out to Albert, though. He goes, yeah, but that requires them to have chased him. And he didn't know that they were going to chase him like that. Because if he had flown away and they hadn't chased him, then he wouldn't have been encased in the nanites and they would have just been in his lungs and he still would have suffocated.
Well, I don't know, man. Write a letter to James Gunn.
I don't know
what to tell you, dog.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't know. Vibes. It was just vibes. It would look cool.
It look
cool.
If we just open this
the
can of worms.
The movie was fun enough that I didn't mind.
Yeah, just like one of them. Let's not open this. If we open this can of worms, we about to be spending another pod dissecting why Superman doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
How did Superman hold up that building without everything collapsing around him immediately? Like, is this what we want to do, y'all? Is this the kind of pod that we want to be?
I did think some of the things that like they did with Superman were like they really. Oh, I wanted to say that this is in addition to like you guys talking about being maybe the most vulnerable, like emotionally vulnerable Superman we've seen. This was also the most physically vulnerable Superman I've seen, I think, in a long time, where he was getting even without kryptonite, he was getting his ass kicked a lot and getting hurt a lot and not being at full health, and not immediately being able to heal himself. And then that was one of the things that I wish, like, I don't know, maybe it was a little bit different. I don't know how you would change this because it's different, but you know, they really made a big deal like 3 times in the movie about how he didn't have access to the yellow sun. And so therefore he wasn't able to be his full strength. And it was like, we get it. You don't have to explain it to us. We understand why he doesn't have his powers now. Like, you don't have to mention the yellow sun every single time.
I think people don't know that, bro. I think a lot of people don't know that Superman is a sun-based superhero. I think people just think he's super strong. And it's like, hey, the sun thing is like a legitimate plot. I'm glad that we finally had a Superman movie that acknowledged that the sun is important and made it a key part of how they're able to subdue him. Oh, strip him from a sun. Like, I feel like every other movie is just he's strong and then all you can hope is that Zod or Kryptonite gets him, puts him down or some shit. Like, I don't know. I like that the sun was like a recurring theme of like, yo.
All right. It just felt
he's solar powered.
Too much. Yeah.
Climate change is real.
It felt a little too much. Maybe this movie's anti-woke. It's like the dangers of relying on solar power.
No, this has been a thing. No.
You can't work at night, Superman.
Oh my God. What are you going to do in the pocket universe? Your phone won't work.
What? I thought that was
Maybe that's
cool
why he didn't fight that. Maybe that's why he didn't fight the fluorescent being, because the one-eyed monster that was floating in the air, because it was nighttime. He didn't have any power.
He was waiting till dawn.
I think I only had like one big complaint for me, and the only complaint I was like, and this is just a choice thing, it wasn't necessarily like the movie was bad for it, was I didn't love the way that Nicholas Hoult played Lex as more of a brat and like way more like flailing about, especially in the second half of the movie. I'm so used to. Did you guys ever watch like Superman the animated series or Batman and Superman Adventures?
Clancy Brown,
the more calculated.
It's
Lex.
very much more like, he was very much more like calm. He had all the plans. He was like, don't worry. I forget his driver's name, Macy or Gracie or whatever, like we'll get him, and it was just like, he always had the next answer. He was always 4 steps ahead. And this Lex is too, but in a much more like, like,
he
shouting.
Was too Elon for you?
I don't know what it was, but I think this was more a preference thing because I'm so used to that version of Lex where he's just more like nothing bothers him. He's just very unbothered.
Yeah.
He even turns himself into like Brainiac and is like, cool. I'm like, cool with this, like that kind of stuff where it's just like this version of Lex was way more off the handle at some points. And just like snarling, spitting, like just
crashing out.
That kind of person.
Just,
like,
going nuts.
Why? And I didn't have a good sense of like, why is he crashing out so hard? Like that kind of stuff. And so I would have just maybe preferred that it was a more understated version of Lex.
You was confused about why Lex was acting like an asshole?
No, I was confused about why he was just like spazzing.
I think he kind of represented a lot of the Silicon Valley tech titans that we know of.
And just like can't stand being wrong or not going their way.
Exactly.
He's a control freak. He's smart. He's brilliant. He's all that. But he's also, as a result, he's also a dick.
They're obsessed with their own power. Yeah. They're obsessed with their own power, their own entitlement. And whenever things don't go their way, they
That
crash
makes
out.
sense.
Yeah.
I buy
Yeah.
that.
They make
Yeah.
their minions pick up their pens over and over.
After they smashing
That's
all
what
the
they
shit.
do. And I actually appreciated that.
But
in
the
this,
old
Lex
the
has
cartoon
minions.
Lex,
He has his own version of Big Balls, like working for him, like these
His
like little
acolytes.
20-year-old kids who adore his genius,
yeah.
and will do anything to
please
win,
Daddy Luthor.
That
his
was crazy
approval.
too, right?
Yeah.
They were like, "Ha ha ha! We're killing all these people in the city. Oh, it's just a video game."
Well, one dude
It's
was like,
oh my
one
God.
dude was actually, some of the people were actively pushing back, but the whole point is that when you have an evil control freak like Lex, it doesn't matter because they were warning him multiple times, hey, no, hey, don't do that, hey, don't do that, and he straight up said, I don't give a
But the video game players were
But the
really
kids,
enjoying
they're
themselves.
like, we want the techno utopia
Wait,
you
what
promised
you mean?
us.
Oh
Right?
yeah,
They're
yeah,
like
oh yeah, yeah.
Elon
Wait, I'm talking
fanboys.
about the
Yeah.
people who was in the ship with him, actually, like his actual technician.
Oh, I'm talking about those two. The people who were actually doing the controls, like they had the joysticks in front of them. Those kids were like enjoying themselves. They're like, yeah, look at me
Oh
go.
yeah, oh yeah, but you got
pushing the buttons.
oh yeah, but you got you
Yeah.
know you got military drone operators who out here murdering people just on remote controls. I'm like,
Yeah.
that might be the. But honestly, I'm a big fan of the
They're
animated.
like, this is just Call of Duty.
I mean, I'm a big fan of animated Lex 2, the Clancy Brown performance, and I like that version. But I also wouldn't want more of the same. Like, I wouldn't want this Superman movie to just be, hey, here's the stuff from old Superman stuff. We're just putting it live action. I'm glad that we got a still Lex, but different from Clancy. Like, I like
Different
calm.
type of Lex,
I like
for
the
sure.
calm, calculated, one step ahead Lex. I also like the calm, calculated, one step ahead movie Lex, who's also a raging ass when things don't go right, or who like the movie even makes it clear that he's the smartest character in the movie by a long shot. But also he does some of the most he shoots an innocent man in the head with some revolver thing.
Oh, with the Russian roulette thing. That was wild.
He starts throwing shit at his girlfriend. Like they do a good job to show that he's a genius, but also he is an abusive, maniacal asshole. And like there isn't really you don't need the why is less important. It's just that he's a monster. He's a jerk. He's a bad person. It's not just he's smart and held bad by his genius. Like no, you're just a dick. And they show right when he tortures the dog and. The way he tortures the dog, metamorpho, kid prison, locking up ex-girlfriends.
This is what happens when Hank McCoy is too full of himself.
I think this is the first time we've gotten. I think this is one of the better explorations of Lex's flaws, looking more just like human flaws. I don't know. I like this flawed interpretation that is very capable, but is flawed in a way that is like very.
He's a little bratty.
Yeah, but
it was very yin to Superman's yang.
Yeah, it was like one of those.
They're both children.
Yes, they're both childlike,
immature.
Thank you. Yes, because Clark is Lois even calls out, yeah, Clark, you're so naive and you trust everybody, and it's like, yeah, that's how he is. And then Luthor's the opposite of like you're an asshole and you trust nobody. And I don't know. I was enjoying hating Nicholas Hoult as Lex during that movie several times. Me and Tony like at the same time were like, this nigga crazy. I'm like multiple times we were at the exact same moment, like, oh my God, this nigga is crazy. But I was all in on it. I was like, yo, this dude is crazy. Like, I like it. No. I like chill, calculated Lex, but I like him just saying, you know what? F these people. I hope they all die. I'm like, wait, my G, what? Like, hold on, Lex. Oh, that was a bit much. Like, hold on, Lex, chill.
When he shot the guy in the head, I don't know that was the moment for him to be like, oh, that went rather quickly. It was like, oh, you just shot a guy.
But that's how you know how insane. But that's us letting us know, yo, this man is effing unhinged. He's smart, but is so angry that he doesn't do the smart thing of doing an effective interrogation. It's like,
no, that to me came off as just like, oh, that was just James Gunn trying to be quippy and like release the tension. And it's like, I don't think that's where you needed that guy.
You thought that was quippy? Oh, I thought that was Lex being an unhinged monster. Because everyone.
No, it was definitely quippy.
Oh no.
I think it was James Gunn being a little too James Gunn. All right. Any last thoughts? Any last words before we give our final ratings, Brian?
No.
Not last thoughts, Savon.
This is a really good movie. I think this is I will argue, maybe there's a little recency bias, but I'm trying to look back. This is probably one of the best Superman media we've gotten, period. And like some of that is a testament to how good the movie is. Some of it's a testament to how mediocre a lot of older Superman stuff is. But like, if I were to tell somebody, hey, I want to check out Superman, where should I start? I'll say, yo, watch this movie. I'll tell my mom, hey, mom, you should watch this movie. It's a fun movie. Watch Superman.
It is. It's really
like
I
would tell a non-comic book fan, hey, this movie is fun. There's a lot going on, but it's very easy to follow. You should just watch. Like even the beginning, right? They don't even try to pull no bullshit. Hey, 300 years ago, metahumans and shit started appearing. Let's just get right to it. Hey, motherfuckers with powers exist. We're not gonna think too much about the how and why. That was 300 years ago. Here we are now. Let's get it cracking. I'm like, all right, bet. Let's get it going. Like, I think I can get my mom to watch this movie.
And I think more than anything, this movie is like makes you believe that like we talked about this earlier. That's Superman right there on screen. I see it, and he's flying, and he's real, and he exists in this metropolis world. Like I buy all of that, and the rest of it is just fun and enjoyable, and it's a good story.
I'd watch this again.
And I gotta say, it's one of the best superhero movies we've gotten in quite some time.
Ooh,
hot take. Marvel. You got competition now, finally. Maybe this will actually
From
make
your
Marvel
own.
movies better.
From your own.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see.
That could be. Although hopefully Marvel is looked at themselves and that this past couple years and is really starting to clean things up, because I think they did realize like the movies they were putting out just weren't as good, and now it's time to really like step up their game. So we'll see. All right, friends, we're out of here. Enjoyable. Oh, we didn't rate it.
9
I
out
already
of
said
10.
9 out of 10. What are you?
9 out of 10.
8.5 out of 10.
8.5. Oh, so we're all high
8.5
on this.
out of
Okay,
10.
8.5 and 9s out of 10s, guys. We're riding high on this then. All right, so that means this is like a must go. Go
It's a
see it
super
right now
movie.
in theaters.
Super movie.
And I definitely think it's
Super
worth seeing
go.
on a big
Superman
screen.
was the highest grossing movie ever, right? When the first one came out, like people like the streets love Superman. Go watch that shit.
All right, friends, we're out of here. See you later. Bye. Oh, homework next week.
Fantastic Four.
Finish watching Ironheart. We're gonna talk about Ironheart on the next show. Brian, your head is floating in midair without your body right now. No, it was cool. All right, see you later. Bye.